We're going to talk about these cold winter days and how to protect our colonies as we walk through this time of the year. One of the things, folks, that we see this time of the year is snow. Here's just one of these quick snapshots that we got from up in northern Michigan, I believe this one is. If you'll see right here, snow is piled up on the entrances of each of the hives. Now, just as a reminder, your bees are still going to fly out and defecate and want to come back in as quickly as they possibly can. This has to be open for the bees to get out. If you do this, they'll be susceptible to nosema. And nosema is not a place you want your bees to be at this time of the year. All right, the second thing that we're going to look at is how to ensure your bees make it through the cold winter months. And we're going to do a step-by-step on that. We're going to be talking about pollen patties. A lot of times we as beekeepers say, hey, we want a 15% versus a 4% protein. Anytime we see something more higher valued, we want to go gravitate towards that. Queen orders. If you want queens this coming season, highly recommend that you get on our website, mountainsweethoney.com//bees, and take a look at the queens. We got some dates that we've closed out on some of our bees. So just take a look at it, get your order in. We're seeing elevated orders on queen orders. A lot of folks looking to do splits this spring. We all know that we all have been cold this last week here. And, like we said earlier, our temperatures have been down in the 14 to 17 degree range. And, if we go up to New York State or Ohio, those temperatures are way below that in the negative numbers. Really, you couldn't escape it this week unless you're down in Key West, and that they had some pretty decent temperatures down there. But this is the time that most beekeepers lose their colonies. I've seen statistics saying anywhere from 1/3 to 2/3 of losses happen during this time of the year. So that's why we wanted to get out here tonight and go live and talk about these various issues. So let's start with the very basics on getting your bees through this time of the year. Is hopefully you've already treated for varroa. If you've treated for varroa, then we're going to continue on. If you have not, I would highly recommend the first day that it's above 55 degrees that you get in and treat your bees for varroa, because this is the ideal time when there's not much brood being produced, and you can go on ahead and knock the varroa out once and for all. So don't get into your hives if it's 55 degrees or less, because you're going to chill your bees, and chilling your bees means that you're going to lose some bees due to the temperature change within the hive. Let's talk about what varroa looks like. It's right here, folks. They attach themselves on the back of the abdomen of the bee. That's where they get into the bloodstream of the bee, and that's how viruses get started within the hive itself. That's what we've got to look at as beekeepers. They can place themselves anywhere in this area right here, but this is a little lower than normal on that there. Once we got varroa knocked out, strapping down your hives is really important. We have seen some really high winds here locally last week in the 35 to 45 mile an hour gusts. And it's just important to strap your bees down. This is an excellent way that this beekeeper, he's put two straps on every hive. I would not advocate doing two straps, just one strap going in the middle and down the other side would be sufficient for this. I would think that if you had two straps on there, that's a little overkill, but it still gets the job done. So I hand it to this beekeeper on doing that there. Now, the next thing that you want to do, and we'll go back to this slide here that we were just looking at, is making sure that our boxes are all lined up. All of our supers are lined up, that there's no way that there's a crack anywhere or it's misplaced when we're stacking the hives. Everything's very uniform, going up and down. Everything looks good in this picture here. So strapping down is very important. We get a lot of high winds during the winter months because the trees don't have leaves to block. Thus, the hives are under more attack than ever when it comes down to the wind. Let's talk about inspecting the hive. Now, as I mentioned earlier, 55 degrees or warmer, many of you have top hive feeders. That's a little different because they don't lose the heat going out with a top hive feeder. So um, you can get in there, just get in there and get out as quick as you possibly can. Those will retain the heat. Ceracell makes a really good feeder that we carry that will allow you to get into it in 30, 40 degree weather without any major temperature change within the hive. But as always, when we're in the winter months, we need to be quick. If we're going to look for something, we need to make sure that 1 minute max, we're in and out and over and done with that inspection. The other thing that we want to do this time of the year is go to the rear of the hive and lift up the back of it just gently, maybe a ½ inch to an inch, just to see how much weight is inside the hive. Obviously, if it's a heavier lift that you feel, then that means there's plenty of honey stores still left in there for the bees to eat. If it is light, then that tells me that I've got to go feed and start feeding immediately the colony so that they can survive through the winter months. Now, during the winter months, we want to use a 2-to-1 sugar ratio, and you can do that by volume or by weight, 2-to-1. And the 2 would be 2 parts sugar and 1 part water. It's a very thick solution, but it helps your bees get through this time of the year and just keeps them ready to thrive and not just survive on that there. So once again, go to the rear of your hive, lift up the back of it. You can use just one hand. That will tell you if it's light, feed. If not, you can lightly feed if you want to, just to maintain, or you don't have to feed during that this time of the year. Now, you want to check those at least every 3 weeks as you're working through the winter months, because there will be times that the colony really consumes a lot of those honey stores that are within the hive. Every 3 weeks, you want to do the lift method until the weather begins the springtime momentum in your neck of the woods.
Ray, as I'm listening to you, a couple of questions come to mind when you're talking about lifting up the back of the hive and sort of getting a feel for the weight. Is that something that is just completely feel that you as the beekeeper need to be the one to consistently say that feels lighter to me than it did 2 weeks ago?
You're going to learn that heaviness or that light-weightedness as you're working through this this exercise of lifting the rear of the hive. So it's all going to be up here in your head. Is this lighter than it was 2 months ago or during the summer? During the summer, you have a full super of honey that's there, and that's going to be easily 85 pounds on a 10-frame hive.
And then my follow-up question on the solution that you were talking about, any risk of that freezing or getting gummy or becoming a problem here during the winter?
If I remember right, Brian, the freeze ratio on a 2-to-1 is like -35 or -40 degrees, that it will begin to crystallize at that point.
So something that could be a problem for some of our viewers, but not going to be a problem in North Georgia where Buzz TV originates.
Absolutely.
Okay, good. Thank you.